Stellar Blade demo. See this tweet where I stated for all we know the game may have no gameplay, so I went in expecting nothing. What do we get? More than I expected. First, these are the game setting options to give you an idea what attention to detail the developers have given you. These are the controls, which took a little getting used to as I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII recently. Blocking, sprinting, and picking up items especially a bit weird. I would suggest that we can remap the buttons to whatever we want. At first the gameplay feels a little bit slow, however as systems become more obvious what direction the game is going for, that'll change. Some say the combat is a lot like Lies of P. The style is a mix of aggressive and reactive, where you need to parry or dodge at the right time. Blocking is an option too. As you fight, you build up energy for offensive skills. But the fancy spinning, climbing, running on, flipping, throwing, slicing while you flip and fancily spin stuff is rewarded by performing enough well-timed blocks, aka perfect blocks, that you break the enemy's balance. Often it's easier to just take regular enemies out with basic attacks, but heavy enemies definitely benefit from learning attack patterns and blocking or dodging in time. Enemies start doing more unblockable attacks, which increase in variety quite quickly. At first, 2 special enemy attacks cue by flashing red, where they go berserk with a series of blockable attacks, or yellow unblockable but perfect dodgeable. Then you see more unblockable attacks coming in. Blue, which warns of upcoming forward dodge opportunities, called Blink, then purple for an upcoming back dodge op called Repulse as well. Given that the colours are so important, 3 colorblind options exist if that helps. So that's where the reactive element comes in. See a colour and perform the wrong block or dodge and your face will quickly be kissing dirt. Side note, in a game like this that requires quick reactions heavily benefits from low input lag. If you haven't already, your TV should be set to game mode. The closer the input lag is to 0, the more time you have to react. Is it Souls-like? In my limited experience, it's nowhere near as brutal, where in Souls games you die in like 3 hits, and the enemies seem to just have a ton of hard to predict attacks with less prompts telling you how exactly to react. At least until you become familiar with them. But there are some Soul-like elements. Resting points tend to respawn enemies. And I do see some enemies dish out a chain of attack animations that remind me of some enemies I've seen in FromSoft games. In Stellar Blade, the cues and your shield and health makes this much easier. At first, jumping and dodging will be quite lackluster, and the timing window for perfect parry and dodge may feel too tight and difficult to pull off, but you improve them in the skill tree and with gear. It's a pretty decent skill tree too. We are yet to learn if you have to make decisions or you can simply unlock everything in one playthrough. Respec is possible, though personally I would like to see irreversible specialization options. For example, unlocking 1 of 2 skill tree branches promoting multiple playthroughs. Traversal is much like you would expect from a third-person game. Walk, run, sprint, jump, climb from point A to B. You can swim, and even push debris in water. Diving is possible with infinite breath, which makes sense if you're a cybernetic. Some cam spots include telephones to fast travel, just like the Matrix. These must be used to fast travel rather than having access at all times, which gives me the impression that you definitely need to think about your purchasable resources before setting off through possible difficult zones, which I really hope this game has. You can hit a button to scan the environment, which highlights the main objective, identifies enemies, key objects, and climbing points, which are marked with paint like many games are these days. Given there is an auto loot on and off and an auto QTE success option, other assist options I'd like to see is to be able to remove the yellow paint, which you'll also notice indicates the way to go. Let us even turn off the enemy intent indicators. Your sword glow, the weak points glow, the entire HUD, low HP red borders, heck, even quick time event prompts, so players can choose to completely struggle through the game or make it more interesting for seasoned vets. I want to hit up YouTube once I finish the game and see players posting, taking out the hardest bosses, without getting hit. No HUD elements or video game effects, just pure cinematics and insane levels of pure skill. The gameplay is not exactly groundbreaking, but fun enough. I would however say it's refreshing, and given that this is Shift Up's first attempt at a fully fledged console game, although there is work on other titles, I went in with the expectations of an empty potato sack, and it surpassed them in the combat mechanics and skill tree progression. I'll be interested to see where the full game takes it. Looking at the presentation, there are 3 graphics modes: prioritize resolution, balanced, and prioritize performance. I had no problem on balanced mode, but my timing success rate wasn't so great with the 30 frames per second in resolution mode. Amusingly, under gameplay there is a hair length option too, hair which seems to have moon gravity. Thought that would be a graphics option. Immediately I noticed there is no option to skip cutscenes during the first watch. That would be another thing I'd like to see added. Maybe make it a more difficult 2 or 3 button hold combo if it's something you haven't fully watched. On that note, the cinematic's character body animation and general cinematography seems very fluid. The characters, and at least the English voices, which you can hear in most other playthroughs people have posted, do initially feel a little bit on the B-grade action flick side, which makes this interesting, as graphically, overall, it looks like it belongs on the PS5, but emotionally it feels like I've seen better facial animations in the late life of the N64. Having said that, you are playing an android, inspired by Alita Battle Angel and 2B, who even shares some of the knowing nothing about the world characteristics.
壁に並んでるのは全部記録デバイス。ああ、だが1メガバイトしか保存できない。資源の無駄遣い。
The game uses, but not always uses, a film grain filter, which is a nightmare for YouTube video compression. The whole demo campaign has it, but the boss challenge does not. I don't mind film grain, but it would be nice to add another slider to tone it down or to turn it off. That, on top of all the particles and debris, really brings internet video compression to its knees, so I suggest looking at some raw screenshots of busy scenes to get a better idea of what this game looks like in person. When it comes to screenshots, I noticed when you push the share button the game pauses, but some elements such as Eve's hair looks like the renderer can't make up its mind. Some things like out of focus embers go bright. Elements at certain times or conditions just go crazy. The world interaction itself is a mixed bag of amazing and strange. Debris flying, rolling around hills and stuff is cool. Water falling on your character's head works, but your character doesn't seem affected visually by water. Would be nice to see some water reaction to hair, skin and clothing. Foliage moves a little, but 99% you just walk straight through branches without them getting pushed aside. Or just the leaves move and the branches holding them don't. Your character walk, run and swim animations are amazing, but swinging from pole to pole is a very sudden transition. Eve likes to put her hand up against objects if you walk alongside and slightly toward them. She sometimes flat out stops with both hands, giving a real sense of weight and existence to the world, yet running directly at a wall she just runs on the spot as if nothing is there. It's a bit weird to see great physics and animation in many departments but poor in others. It's like different people of different skill levels worked on different mechanics with no lead animator or art director QAing or unifying the quality. The overall style is what you would expect for a post-apocalyptic world. Dull color, and not a heck of a lot going on, but interesting. Textures are usually fine, but there's the odd time where a model looks like it is blown up in size 30 times without the texture resolution to match. HDR adds a noticeable amount of highlight detail, so stuff like your face under a direct light will still retain skin tones. And daylight sky, you'll actually be able to see the circle of the sun and nearby clouds, where in SDR, it's all overblown. The music is top tier stuff. The demo mostly features one track which quickly gets a bit repetitive, though it does react depending on context. Sound design overall is fine, nothing standing out means it's good. My only complaint though, like 100% of every other game I've played, there is no sound travel delay. Game designs, please remember that light travels much faster than sound. The story is nothing new from a general plotline perspective. You are sent to Earth that has been taken over and human cities are but a shell of what they once were. Where they take that premise is something I would say, if you're interested, you should play to find out, if the gameplay looks fun to you.